Welcome back to Why Universe. Today we're diving into something that, well, it usually keeps people up at night. We're talking about ghosts, demons, and the things that go bump in the dark. But we're looking at it through the lens of science.
It's a fascinating topic because, even though millions of people claim to have something supernatural, science has some really grounded, almost mundane explanations for these spooky encounters.
Right. I've definitely had that moment where you're home alone and you see something move out of the corner of your eye and your heart just drops. Is that just my brain messing with me?
Exactly. That's actually a great place to start. It's called pareidolia. Our brains are essentially hardwired to find patterns, especially faces. It's an evolutionary survival trait. Back in the day, if you missed a predator hiding in the bushes, you were in trouble. So now, your brain sees a face in a random wood grain or a shadow in a dusty corner.
So it's like a better safe than sorry mechanism in our hardware. Wow. But what about the physical stuff? Like people feeling a presence or getting those weird chills?
That's where it gets even cooler. Have you ever heard of infrasound? It's sound at a frequency lower than 20 hertz, too low for humans to actually hear, but we can feel it. Research shows that certain frequencies, especially around 19 hertz, can actually cause the human eyeball to vibrate slightly.
Wait, what? Vibrating eyeballs? No way.
Yes, it creates these peripheral hallucinations, gray blobs or shadows. Plus, these low-frequency waves can trigger a sense of dread or even the feeling of being watched. Wind blowing through an old building or a faulty exhaust fan can literally create a haunted atmosphere.
That is wild. So it's not a demon, it's just a ventilation pipe vibrating at a specific pitch. Huh. But what about those cold spots people report? When a room suddenly drops 10 degrees.
Usually, that's just physics, specifically convection. Warm air rises, cool air sinks. In an old house, drafts are everywhere. But there's also the psychological element. When we're scared, our blood vessels constrict near the skin to send more blood to our muscles, the fight or flight response. That actually makes you feel physically colder.
Right, so we're essentially scaring ourselves cold. Now, I've heard people use the law of conservation of energy to prove ghosts exist. Energy can't be destroyed, so where does our soul go? What's the scientific take on that?
Well, it's a poetic idea, but thermodynamics has a simpler answer. When any organism dies, its energy doesn't just hang around as a conscious entity. It gets released as heat and is absorbed by the environment or consumed by other organisms. The energy stays in the system, just not in a form that can throw a vase across the room.
That makes sense. It's less about spirits and more about biology and physics. It's fascinating how the brain and the environment can team up to create these supernatural experiences.
Exactly. Science doesn't necessarily want to ruin the mystery, it just looks for the most logical explanation. Whether it's carbon monoxide leaks causing hallucinations or sleep paralysis making people think a demon is sitting on their chest, there's almost always a biological or physical why behind the what.
Wow, I feel a lot better about that weird noise I heard in my kitchen last night. This has been such an enlightening deep dive. If you enjoyed this journey into the science of the unknown, make sure to show Why Universe some love. Please like, follow, and subscribe to the channel, and don't forget to share this episode with your friends who love a good mystery. Thanks for listening.